Hey students, by now you probably got the announcement from Marshall that classes today have been canceled starting at 1 p.m. Since our class meets at 2, that means we're not getting together. So I wanted to give you a couple of announcements and then point you towards a few external videos to watch. So homework 4 is still going to be due on Monday, but I'm moving the exam. We were scheduled to have the exam on Monday, but it just, it didn't feel right to have the exam after so many online classes. And so hopefully we'll be able to have an in-person class next Monday. And so the exam is scheduled for Wednesday, February 11th. All of the guidelines related to the exam are still the same. And just on Monday's class, I'm going to give you a lecture related to basins, losses, and excess. So I'm going to move that lecture forward. So a couple of additional points of discussion. The first is I got some questions about what's allowed for your exam formula sheet. And so just to revisit what I've told you previously, you can put equations on there. You can define the variables that are in the equations, and it's also okay for you to include what would be the typical units that should go into the equation. So what should be excluded from your formula sheet is don't include any definitions of terms, no conceptual details, like, for example, explaining concepts. Don't provide yourself with step-by-step instructions on how to solve a problem. Don't put in spreadsheet template guidance. It's really just meant to be a formula sheet with equations. You can include constants in there. So for example, there are a couple of constants you need for evaporation calculations. But if you needed any interpolation constants for precipitation type problems, then I would provide that. Also, I got a question about the latent heat of vaporization, and I wanted to provide a correction. If you look in our textbook on page 275, there's an example there that indicates that the temperature you're supposed to put in for the latent heat of vaporization is the air temperature. After looking it up a little bit more in some other sources, what I've come to understand is it's actually the latent heat of vaporization is a function of water temperature, not air temperature. So just to clarify, when you have this L sub V, what that's predicting is how many joules are required to vaporize a kilogram of water. And here's the formula for it. And it is slightly dependent on the temperature of the water, not the air. So just to clarify, I've updated my slides so that in future semesters it will be clear that it should be water temperature. And just from that example, they told you that the air temperature was 28.5, and from that I interpreted that you should use the air temperature. The textbook is incorrect. We ought to use water temperature. So hopefully that clears that up. Finally, I got a question about this formula which we use to estimate the vapor transfer coefficient. And what a student observed is that equation is not dimensionally homogeneous. What that means is that for a lot of empirical equations, actually, the units on the left-hand side of the equation may not equal the units on the right-hand side of the equation. And this is an illustration of one of those types of equations where they've come up with this equation through observation, and it's not just a fundamental equation starting from the first principles of physics. This is just curve fitting, and this coefficient here that gives you a clue, 0.102, having some fudge factor or a coefficient like that in an equation is usually an indicator that the equation is from observed data rather than first principles. And so it's totally normal. It is correct that what we are putting into this formula on the right-hand side of the equation would be the wind speed in terms of meters per second. But then what's going to come out of that equation, B, the vapor transfer coefficient, the units of length there are millimeters per day. So that is not a mistake. That is the units for this particular empirical equation. So for the remainder of today's class, what I'm going to ask you to do is to watch a couple of videos that are addressing some concepts related to the water cycle. And I think that these two videos are useful to put it in perspective, kind of tie together some of the concepts that we've been looking at so far in this semester. Maybe you could think of it as like an exam review or kind of a conceptual reminder We've gone into a lot of zoomed in details related to evaporation and infiltration and the principles of soils and wells, but this takes a step back and puts it in perspective and gives you the context I think is useful as we go into the next part of the course. So I'm going to provide these links in the email that I send you for today's class, and then of course it's also there on screen for those of you who are joining remotely.